Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me, wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. But whatever you do, keep it spicy. Episode 165. Um, wow. Yeah, no, right? 165 of these we've done already. It's been a great week so far, and it's about to get better because today is Thursday, and as you know, the NCAA tournament kicks back up today and starts off with a banger of a four-piece of basketball games. So if you have to work tomorrow, be prepared to go in tired because if you're on the East Coast, because the last game starts at 9:50 something Eastern. Shout out to my man Whit LeJour, Coach Whit, who assures me that he will be up for the entirety of the game. It should be a great weekend of basketball, a great weekend of sports. But the headlines yesterday was stolen by Tyreek Hill and the trade of Hill to the Dolphins from the Kansas City Chiefs. I was torn on the trade because you never really know what's going on unless you know. And most of the times people who claim to know don't know. They're just doing the thing where you make the most common, the most obvious solution, and then they stick on it and hope that they're right. And because there's no oversight for people who prognosticate things wrong, they can do that. But the truth is we don't really know what happened on the inside. We don't know what happened with Tyreek Hill in Kansas City and why he wanted out. We do know, at least we can pretty safely surmise that it was most likely due to money. The money wasn't right. The money wasn't the same. If I was a betting man, I would probably say that Tyreek Hill wanted to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league, or at least one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league. Kansas City probably wanted him to be somewhere among the top, the top third of the league, but they also probably wanted him to take a deal that would help them out because they're about to deal with this massive undertaking of a contract from Patrick Mahomes once that begins to take shape and take hold. So I think that they were hedging their bets and hoping that the appeal of continuing to play with Mahomes, who's risen Hill's star to another level, would be enough to allow him to take less money. But remember, Hill didn't come from an initial payday when he came into the NFL. And so this is Hill's opportunity to get his money. So I'm not mad at him about getting his money. I'm not even really mad about Kansas City deciding, hey, we can't move like this. Because the way in which the NFL has structured itself says we're going to pay the quarterbacks and we're going to pay other people, but we're not going to pay them anywhere near like what we pay the quarterbacks. And so if you're giving quarterbacks now $40+ million a year, and the wide receivers are coming in at 19, 20, 22, 21, if somebody asks for 25 a year, it might be curtains for them. If someone asks for more money than what they're willing to give, that's curtains for them. If you think about what happened with the Packers, I know people say Davante Adams he's friends with Carr, blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is Davante Adams looked around at this quarterback get $50 million who does not perform well when he's not in the lineup. And went, okay, well, if he's worth 50, I'm at least worth 25. And the Packers went, we're not putting $75 million into two people. And Adams was like, okay, well, then I'm out. I mean, I think that's pretty much how it went. Again, I'm guessing, I'm not on the inside. But that's how it went. But I would tell these people on both sides to be careful. See, I believe that the innovation and the quarterback genius lies with Kansas City, right? But it's true. There is no other Tyreek Hill. Now, I argued yesterday with a few people that McCall Hardman has the opportunity to step into that Tyreek Hill role. They're the same type of player. They have very similar speed. I know people don't want to admit it, but McCall Hardman is one of the fastest people in the league. And just because Tyreek Hill gets so much pub, you got to remember last year, Hardman on less than half of the targets or half of the targets that Tyreek Hill put up numbers that would suggest that if he was to receive 150 plus 160 targets, that he would put up Tyreek Hill numbers. So that's the one thing, but Kansas City has to be careful, because if that's not the case, and if they're not able to turn a draft pick that I was kind of disappointed that was the pick they got, but okay, if you're not able to turn that pick into another track star who happens to be a football player, if you're not able to flip that into another one of those guys, now you're in trouble. Because that ability to stretch the field is what makes Kelce so dangerous. You have to account for the deep guy, and not just Hill. You got to account for Hardman. You got to account for Pringle. You got to account for the track team that's out there. And then all of a sudden, this 250-pound like behemoth comes rumbling, stumbling, bumbling through there and gets you for 185 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So you got to be careful that you don't compensate. Not overcompensate, that's the wrong word. That you're not overconfident in your ability to scheme and in your imagination and in your quarterback, that you think you can do it with lesser talent. But if we're thinking about the trade for the Giants, for the Chiefs, keep this in mind. They just flipped a guy that they didn't put a lot of draft capital in for a lot of draft capital. And they got a lot of usage out of him. That's like buying a car for $1,000, not putting any money into the car, and yet turning around and being able to sell the car for $10,000. That's not a bad flip. But also, Tyreek Hill needs to be careful, because Tyreek Hill's going to Miami, and there's no Patrick Mahomes down there. See, one of the things about having someone as fast as Tyreek Hill is that you allow him to get deep, and you can let the ball go later because you can give him more time to beat the defender. And it doesn't matter how far you throw the ball, he's going to be able to go get it. Well, what if you can't throw it far enough to get it to him like he needs to get it? Because I feel like that could be the case. And this is why Miami needs to be careful. Because, and shout out to Brandon Howard. If you don't follow him, please follow him at B Howard _81. Brandon contends that there's not an arm strength issue with Tua. And I would agree. There's not an arm strength issue with Tua. He can make all the throws. There's a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle problem with his arm, because those guys are different. The level in which they're able to explode and get by people means that you can put, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but in the NFL, safeties sit at like 20 and 25 yards deep. So when you see these guys blowing by these dudes, the arm has to automatically go 40 to 50 in order to be able to get to where they're going to be by the time the ball travels from zero. This is, so now we're asking Tua to bombs away. Now, Brandon contends that a lot of that came from the scheme last year and that they'll take more deep shots. I agree with all of it. But Tua does not have a Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle arm. And the proof is in the fact that last year with Jalen Waddle, there were a lot of intermediate passes. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. Do I see Tyreek Hill getting 160 targets in Miami? No. Do I see Tyreek Hill getting balls thrown to him 50 and 60 and 65 yards down the field? It's hard for me to see it. So now, if Tyreek Hill's not doing it at that level, and then we start to see the stats drop, immediately the conversation is going to become, well, he's no longer what he was. This is OBJ. This is OBJ stuff. Remember, they tried to tell us the Odell Beckham sucked. They tried to tell us that Odell Beckham was never a number one. They tried to tell us that it was Odell Beckham's fault that the offense wasn't clicking in Cleveland. And then we found out that it was Baker Mayfield that was the problem. Because the moment Odell Beckham went to another quarterback with a strong arm who could get him the ball, he went back to being Odell. So now we have Tyreek Hill, and I hope whatever money he gets from Miami, I hope it's fully guaranteed. If not, I hope it's mostly guaranteed because he's going to take a step back. It's him. It's Waddle. It's Gesicki if they keep him. They're going to add another receiver most likely. They've already added, 3 backs? They need another one in the draft. So they're going to get, and the coach that took over is a run-first coach. He's a running coach who's never called plays. So this is what we're dealing with when we look at the climate that Tyreek Hill is going to. This is what we're dealing with when we look at what the Miami Dolphins have already given up and are now going to have to, and now we're going to have to invest in order to be good, right? Because not only do they have to give up the draft capital, but they also have to make sure that they pay Tyreek Hill what Tyreek Hill wants, because he has all the leverage now. You just traded a bunch of picks for him, like you don't need offensive linemen. You just traded a bunch of picks for him like you don't need offensive linemen. And now you're asking Tyreek Hill to do what? Take a discount? No. He's going to want max money. So there's a lot of be carefuls to go around. Kansas City, you got to be careful. You can't mess up this draft. You got to come. I mean, there's plenty of track stars in this thing in order to be able to replace Hill with another speedster and move him into the Hardman role, move Hardman into the Tyreek Hill mode. So, like, there's an opportunity to do that. Tyreek Hill, you got to be careful because this could go sideways for you, and they're going to blame you. They always blame a receiver. They always do. In Miami, you got to be careful because, in my opinion, you're putting together an offense with receivers that don't match what it is you're going to be doing in your offense. Waddle, Hill, they don't match what you do in that offense. At least not what predictably you will do in that offense. There was a joke. My guys were saying that Tyreek Hill is gonna see his uptick in rushes happen, they're going to try to use Tyreek Hill like they used Debo. But again, Tyreek Hill's not Debo. That's a different type of guy. Hill's had some nagging little nicks and bruises, and he's a speed guy. He's strong. He's well put together, but he's not Debo. That's not the same type of dude. They're both elite at what they do. But the genius of Tyreek Hill is if you give him a sliver, he catches it, and then he explodes. And because he's faster than anybody on the defense, good luck catching him. Then, just when you think it's sweet, because you got all of these guys that can kill you, and immediately, like Kelsey, he's over the top. And Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball 62 yards in the air to catch him. You think Teddy Bridgewater's doing that? Tua's definitely not doing that. Like, you know that, right? You understand that. Tua's not doing that. Teddy Bridgewater's not doing that. That's not what they do. So they got to be careful. Yeah, it's been a wild west of an offseason for the NFL this year. And we haven't even made it to late April for the draft. It's bananas, ladies and gentlemen. And I love bananas. That's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. You do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, whatever you do. Keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. If you're joining me on Facebook, we appreciate it. Make sure you're looking at those reels. I had a nice little skit that I threw together yesterday. Make sure you check that out. I got a nice one that's dropping today as well. Check that out. Also, check out the Zebra Stripes podcast, me and Coach Witt talking NCAA basketball. And I know I've been promising it. The Gene Therapy pod will be up today. I'll make sure I get that out. Until next time, peace.